Welcome back to JTS. Today we're going to use the reseal kit supplied with your AIRACUDA air rifle and do a complete reseal on an AIRACUDA Max. So stay tuned as we go step by step in performing a complete teardown and reseal of this air rifle. All right, folks, before we go into tearing down the JTS AIRACUDA Max today to reseal it, I just want to bring you to the JTS Airguns website. That's jtsairguns.com. If we page down to the very bottom of the website, you're going to see Owner's Manual under Resources. Let's click on that. Okay, so here is our AIRACUDA Max. Let's click on that. Now this is the manual online. Let's back up so we can see the whole thing. We're going to go to the very bottom of the page. And down here we're going to see the exploded diagram. There we go. Now, if you want to upgrade your seals or get extra seals, you can do so at your local hardware store or order them online. All of the seals, sorry here, let me zoom in, are numbered. Here they are, 23, 24, 23 again, 58. And if we go down to that ring, that O-ring, let's pick up 58, 23 and 24. It's going to give you the size, the metric size, 23 by 2.5 and 21 by 2.5. So you can get all of your O-ring sizes on the website, jtsairguns.com. Okay, we have removed the stock from the gun, and that's once again a simple procedure. 5mm Allen, single Allen screw in the bottom of the stock. Just take the screw all the way out, pull the stock off. Second thing we're going to do is pull the hammer spring out of the gun, unscrew the hammer spring adjuster, let the hammer spring fall out the back of the gun. Third thing, we're going to grab our 2.5mm Allen, insert it into our degasser, and open it up wide. Check both gauges, make sure there's no air in the system. Once we've done all of that, we can begin disassembly. Okay, we have completely degassed the gun. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Take the fill cap off. Using the 2.5 Allen, we loosened up the screw on the barrel band and pulled the barrel band off. Now this is typically too tight to get off by hand. You can't twist off by hand, but if you turn the barrel band upside down, and then tighten the screw down, you can now use that as a tool to loosen up your fill adapter. And once we got it loosened up, you just pull the tool back off, and now we can pull the fill adapter off. This is a pre-production gun, so it's going to have a lot of bangs and dents and scratches in it, but it's the same exact way to do it on a production. Okay, so here's O-ring number 1. And all we do is remove that O-ring, find the identical O-ring in the O-ring kit, and replace that O-ring. Now, what I do is I take some 100% pure silicone oil and I soak all of my O-rings in it. This eases reassembly and prevents the O-rings from getting twisted up as you're screwing them in and causing leaks. So soak all your O-rings in 100% pure silicone oil. Do not use anything that has a petroleum product or aerosol. Those things can explode and will explode in your gun under pressure. So 100% pure silicone oil only. Okay, another trick. we put the fill cap back on your assembly here with your Foster on it. Down inside is the bleed O-ring that allows the pressure into the gun but not out. Comes in through the Foster into the gun. There's a small O-ring under that. That screw is a 2mm screw. So we just simply get down in there, unscrew that, pull it out, replace that O-ring. Once again, just find it inside the kit and find the identical one and replace it. Now, when you reinstall this, what you're going to do is you're going to, once again, screw it all the way down using the 2mm until it butts up tight, and then back it out one turn and stop. Then you're done. Now, on this side is the Foster fitting. This is a 12mm wrench. You can take the Foster fitting out. Underneath that is one of these plastic discs. They rarely ever wear out, and I suggest not replacing it unless you tighten this down and it still leaks, because they can be a pain to get out, and they rarely ever do leak. So usually I just reuse it and tighten down the Foster fitting. Okay, now we have covered the Foster end of the gun and the fill adapter. Now we simply unscrew the first chamber. This is the pressure chamber that reads the fill pressure gauge, reads this section of the chamber. So we just simply unscrew it. Nothing special. Simply a tube that's threaded on both ends. Lots of threads. And there she is. Okay, so we remove that section, and we'll go ahead and pull this whole section apart here because it is actually several parts. You'll see the regulator down in there. That's one of the parts, and it has O-rings. There's an O-ring here. Underneath this section, this is the pressure gauge adapter. Get it off here. There's O-rings. Anyway, I'll go ahead and unscrew this and pull this off, and then that'll show you the O-rings. And by the way, I'm trying to pull it off the wrong way. This has to be unscrewed first before this can be pulled off the adapter that way. The awkwardness of trying to unscrew this with the barrel and everything in the way, I find it's easier just to unscrew the whole assembly from the back, which is, this is the plenum of the gun. So we're just gonna simply turn the gauge up and then unscrew the whole assembly from the back. Turn the gauge up, unscrew the assembly from the back, and we keep doing that until it's off. Tedious, but it works. And there we have it. So we'll go over this section next. Okay, we have the regulator adapter off and the gauge adapter still attached. The plenum unscrewed from the gun. There are two O-rings under here. We'll push it off. Set this aside. There are those two O-rings. There's an O-ring on this end and an O-ring on this end. Find those O-rings, match them up, and replace them. Underneath the gauge is another one of those white discs. Once again, I only replace those if absolutely necessary. They can be a real pain to get out, and they typically rarely ever go bad. So we'll set that aside. Okay, the orientation of this is important. It only goes together one way, but you can put the regulator in incorrectly. So this is the end that goes in here. The bottom of the regulator with the circlip faces down. So let's go ahead and poke that out, because there's O-rings on there also. And there you go. Find those 2 O-rings in the kit and replace them. And once again, this only goes together one way, with the clip facing the breech of the gun. If you put this in this way, you will get no pressure into your regulator body, your plenum. Okay, so we've covered these items. So plenum aside, there is 1 O-ring here. Once again, find it in the kit and replace it. These 2 pieces here we will unscrew, and then we'll take apart the rest of the gun. Unscrewed the gauge adapter from the breech. As you can see, there's one of those white discs in there, like before, like we talked about. They come in the kit. I never replace it unless absolutely necessary. There's also one between the adapter and the gauge. Once again, rarely ever need to replace those. Okay, now we're gonna take the trigger assembly off and then start disassembling the gun to get to the seals inside the gun where the valve is. Okay, all we're gonna do is take a 3mm Allen, take the 2 screws out of the trigger assembly, remove it, and set it aside. We have removed the trigger assembly, and previously we had removed the adjuster and spring and hammer spring, so we can now just slide the hammer out of the gun. So now the hammer is out, and we can start the rest of the disassembly. Using our 2.5mm screw, we're going to take out 1, 2, 3, 4 long screws. Okay, we've removed the screw out of the back here, down from here. Using our 2.5, we're going to go ahead and loosen this grub screw way up loose. You can take it all the way out if you feel like it. And we'll flip the gun over. And then the mag well, we'll take these 2 screws out, also using our 2.5. One and 2. Okay. Now we have separated the hammer tube and the valve body from the breech. This O-ring here, which goes right here, is the transfer port O-ring. You can find it also in our kit. Replace it if necessary. I find it rarely needs to be replaced also, but do so if necessary. Now we're going to go on to taking the valve body apart. So the next step is we loosened up this screw here previously, and that should allow us to take the hammer tube off. Set that aside. Now we are strictly here with the valve assembly. Down in there is a threaded retainer that holds the spring down, that holds the poppet in place. So the 2 things we're going to do next is we're going to take this grub screw out and we're going to unthread that retainer. That'll get us our poppet. Okay, so there's that threaded retainer we saw. It holds the conical spring down, that holds the poppet down inside the gun. That is the screw on the bottom down there that we just removed, and that holds the actual valve seat in. So there's the valve seat down in there, and all we do is simply push it out. And this is the last two of the O-rings. Right there around the valve seat is the two O-rings. Simply find them in the kit again, match them up, replace them. And that is pretty much all of the O-rings except for the two that are on the thimble on the barrel. If you go to our barrel removal video, it'll show the process of removing the barrel. You can do it easier now that you have it out, but go to that video, follow that, and on that thimble down there that the barrel's attached to is also two O-rings. Replace that. And use this video to back up and look at reassembling everything in reverse. It's a pretty simple process. There is a lot of parts, so if you have any problems, simply go to our website and look at the exploded diagram, which I showed in the front of the video. One other thing I'll say is when you're putting back the valve seat and the poppet and cap and everything, when you screw this down, and that's what retains the poppet and spring together inside this assembly here. When you screw that down, it needs to be screwed down between 15 and 18 millimeters down from the top of here to the top of here. So other than that, it's just a reversal of the process, and I hope this has been informative to you, and thank you for purchasing our JTS products.